Welcome to Live Like an Acrobat. I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto, two-time World Acrobatic Gymnastics Champion, USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame member, and Cirque artist. I'm also an advocate for rain. On each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast, I discuss acro handstanding in terms of training tips, coaching, and I explore circus and acrobatic gymnastics competitive life as I have lived it from past to current, and I theorize on what the future may bring in these fields. On each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast, I will bring you insight through my own experiences, which are rooted in a perspective built on social justice advocacy and how these important issues continue to intersect between the circus arts and acrobatics competitive world at large. On each episode, I have the pleasure of discussing these various narratives with a variety of fascinating special guests. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. I am available for handstand private sessions and workshops through aerialfitbodies.com, and in a new announcement, I'm also a Circo certified trainer. Check out Circo.co, a new circus school online international platform where you can learn hand balancing with me and learn so many other circus disciplines from trained Cirque performers from all over the world. Please consider a donation to encourage the continuation and evolution of this podcast. The details of how to donate are located in the show notes. Please make sure to check out the CircuspreneurBlog.com for extended conversations and interactive content of each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. Check out my new vlog series, Think Like an Acrobat, which is available exclusively on CircusTalk as a pro series. It's offering pro tips to professionals within the circus arts industry. On the first episode of Think Like an Acrobat, out now on CircusTalk, I interview master prop maker and juggler Claudius Specht about how you can learn how to master the side hustle during these uncertain times. And speaking of side hustles, my special guest from episode 9, Lamont Good, the creator and founder of Cyber Yoga and Neo Sutras, which has over 69,000 followers on Instagram, has just released Neo Sutras as a yoga-inspired book for couples who wish to connect deeply and elevate their intimacy. You can get it now on Kickstarter and save 40%. You can make it as a meaningful gift for yourself, your partner, siblings, and friends. The link to get your copy of Neo Sutras will be available in the show notes. On this episode of Live Like an Acrobat, I have the absolute honor of interviewing legendary hula hoop artist from Cirque Du Soleil's Alegria, the Elena Lev, with my special co-host, TheaterArtLife.com contributor, Martin Frenette.
It is my great pleasure to be joining Shenea and Elena Lev on this episode of Live Like an Acrobat. In this highly inspiring discussion, harmony and humility intertwine in Elena's voice on her quest for balance, achievement, and being unique.
Martin Frenette has also recently contributed to CircusTalk. His latest article is out now, Circus Immersion Juggling. It's more than just throwing objects in the air. Elena Lev was born in Moscow, Russia, and began her training in artistic gymnastics and rhythmic gymnastics at an early age, assisted and coached by her mother and father. She developed a signature hula hoop act incorporating gymnastics and contortion, which led to her performing as a soloist in 6 different top-producing Cirque Du Soleil shows and events, including Alegria, Quidam, Zaia, Saltimbanco, Wintuk, Zumanity, and the reprisal of Alegria in 2019. Elena Lev, throughout her groundbreaking career, promoted and marketed various Cirque shows on live TV and special events around the world, including the Oscars, Good Morning America, LA Fashion Week, The Tonight Show, the American Music Awards, the Bambi Awards, the Royal Anniversary, the Rachel Ray Show, Regis and Kelly, Life is Beautiful, and many, many more. Elena Lev was also famously featured in Alegria the movie, directed by Franco Dragone. Not only a success on the stage, Elena Lev has immersed herself in the production behind the scenes of top circus industry shows as the associate company manager for Zumanity by Cirque Du Soleil, and as the manager and artistic supervisor for the darker side of Cirque top touring production, Le Noir. Please welcome legendary hula hoop artist Elena Lev to the show. Elena Lev reflected in this episode with such a resounding grace and sense of humility as a Cirque du Soleil icon, of which she can most certainly be proud of. She was a part of an era that ushered in modern circus to the masses, and she did so by giving us her youth as a child prodigy, who ultimately continued her evolution into an adult circus performer who was able to maintain a consistent presence on the world circus stage for 27 years. Elena not only shifted the idea of the hula hoop arts in the original Cirque du Soleil production of Alegria, but she legendarily came back over 20 years later to star in the same role. Elena Lev has come full circle in her career, and with that, shares an impassioned sense of empathy and gratitude for her epic circus life, a life that transcends the status quo and that not many people can relate to. Elena Lev went viral before it was a thing, before social media, and before an act could be consumed by the click of a mouse. If you've seen a hula hoop act over the past 2 decades, chances are it was influenced by the originator, Elena Lev. There's something about setting the tone for an entire generation that must be recognized and framed properly. And Elena Lev takes us on that journey in this conversation. She sheds light on her philosophies on life, living, and the passionate energy that has fueled her life on and off the stage. We salute Elena as she transitions onto the next stage of her life, as she reveals that her last stint in the reproduction of Alegria, which premiered last year, was most likely her last. Please welcome to the show, the Elena Lev. Hi, Elena. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me and my fabulous co-host, author from theaterartlife.com, Martin Frenette. We are so excited to speak over one another in an effort to speak to you.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me. So nice to meet you and to be here today.
Fabulous. Well, Elena, you and I have a similar journey to the stage. Not exactly similar. I mean, I'm not like a, Cirque du Soleil legend or anything, but I love how you started off in sport with an artistic gymnastics and rhythmic gymnastics background before you became an artist. I competed in acrobatic gymnastics for a long time, and so I love to have artists on the show who left sport in a way and then joined the circus.
Yes.
Yes. I recently watched the Best of Hoop from the Cirque Connect series by Cirque Du Soleil. And of course, your features from Alegria are stunning. Have you seen it, Elena?
Yes, I have. Yes, they have both of my acts, the old original and the new one in there. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you're the opening and the closing of the series, naturally.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Well, we'll start off with discussing a little of current events in the circus world, and then we'll dive back into your history and stunning Elena Levness.
It's cute. Thanks.
I don't know if you've heard, but Spiegelworld has reopened their show Absinthe in Vegas. And so that's an exciting development for the circus community. It's one of my favorite shows, too. You've worked for Spiegelworld before and have spent a lot of time working in Vegas. What do you think about that, Elena?
Yeah, I heard they were opening on a 28. I believe it was a couple days ago. Wow, congratulations to them. I know it's exciting because it gives us hope, especially for Las Vegas, where the city is mostly all about show business, entertainment, sports, casinos and tourists. So it definitely brings us hope that things can reopen and will reopen, maybe starting from the smaller shows, which is also fantastic. I find that hopefully that all the little circuses and the little shows are going to make their way back and bring that community, alive. And yes, I have worked for Spiegelworld before, not in Absinthe, but a different show called Empire. We toured on Broadway for 3 months I believe in 2012 or 11. And then we went to Australia. So I did aerial bubble act there and then my hula hoop act as well. Great company, great people, cast and crew, fantastic, very fun show to perform in. And yes, I love Absinthe. It's a show to see and it's a different experience every time you go see the show. So it's fantastic. So I'm very, very happy for them that they are reopened and I hope they stay open. So all my best to them.
Yes, I know. I hope that they stay open too. They're at I think probably running, a little bit less than 50% capacity. So I hope that that's enough to keep people going and progressing and moving forward safely and soundly. I will now turn it over to my special co-host, Mr. Frenette. Martin, please take it away.
Well, I would like actually to go back to your early days because we've had the chance to see half of your life story on YouTube last week and seeing as a kid. And
I loved it.
Described yourself. Yeah, it was just a whole, that is part 2 apparently online now. So we can go to that part 2.
Yes, you can finish the full story. It went online today. So you can watch the whole story from start to beginning. Yes.
Awesome. Well, in that first plot, you've described yourself as a very dynamic, very active child from age 2. And since both your parents were into rhythmic and artistic gymnastics, your dad artistic, your mom rhythmic, and with all the energy to spare, it ain't surprising that you ended up following their footsteps, with both of them being in that world as well. However, what I'm wondering, it would be interesting to know what first ignited this spark of passion when it comes to hula hoop, especially because in rhythmic gymnastics they have all these props. So, which aspects of it appeal? What was about the hoop that appealed you most? And just what is this discipline that had this impact on you? What is it about for you? What was the beginning of the hoop passion?
Yes, correct. The rhythmic gymnastic has 5 different apparatuses, and hoop was one of my favorites. I also loved ball. I hated clubs and ribbon because ribbon was too long for me, and clubs always ended up hitting me somewhere, from different parts. Loved the ball, but hoop was something that I really, really liked from the beginning. And as I, mentioned before in different interviews, that I was the youngest in Cirque world to do a hula hoop act at age 11, because hula hoop in traditional circus used to be just an act for, no offense, a daughter or a girlfriend or a wife or something to just fill the space. And it usually would be to a little bit like a vulgar costume or something like weird music, and just basically not really an act, it's just like a transition. So me and my parents decided to do something different. And again, I will repeat, I was the smallest, the youngest, I was 11. And because I did rhythmic gymnastics and hula hoop already existed in the circus, so that was the part where obviously, I'm not going to do a rhythmic gymnastic performance on stage of circus, because rhythmic gymnastics is rhythmic gymnastics, circus is circus. So you have to bring on stage something that is performance, circus world, but using the apparatus that already existed in both worlds. We decided to combine and create something that never been done. So to put a hula hoop on the foot, that was one. To do handstands and contortion and dance completely have the discipline of rhythmic gymnastics and, of course, the body. But I was very fortunate that my father would teach me handstands and work out with me and give me conditioning and strengthening. And my mom would be on the part of dancing and choreography and flexibility. So I was able to combine the two kind of disciplines and to balance, the flexibility and the strength and the hula hoop and circus. So we've created something unique. And again, I'll repeat, I was the youngest to do a hula hoop in the circus world and to do the tricks that are my original tricks that we've created slowly through the process. So.
Yeah, so actually, you basically, without knowing it, you create a little revolution, but like it sounded like you wanted to make something new, basically. You took the best of both worlds, actually of gymnastics and then of circus, and then make something new out of it. So maybe it was like this desire to be unique in a way that made you who you are today, in a way.
Yes, my parents wanted me to be unique. They wanted to create something, again, that never been done. And I think we've succeeded. I'm slowly, like coming back last year to we'll go back to the full circle of Alegria, where I finally started realizing that, yes, I've created a revolution and oh my God, I have all these people following me and oh my God, hula hoop is like the thing to play with. There's like different ways of playing with it, but the way I do it, it's my style and my tricks and my way of doing it. And people try to be me, or they want to be me, or they just, kind of are inspired. And to me, it's amazing. For many years, I was just doing what I love and what I'm I guess the best at, I can say now, and kind of create that, path for other people. And I mean, it's amazing. I feel, honored and privileged and humbled and to receive and have so many people that do what I do and want to do and create other things with it. So it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because you've said many times as well that you were the youngest to perform the hula hoop in a circus. And so you first took the stage in that circus where your father was also performing. But you already been training and competing as a gymnast for already quite a few years. And could have easily gone and become maybe an Olympic gymnast. So beside, I know you liked the horses that you would ride on the circus. And you talk about audience members throwing chocolate bars at you. Beside the chocolate and the horses, what did you enjoy most about performing that maybe wasn't there in the performing gymnastic world? What was it about the performance that really got you?
The gymnastics world, I was good. Like I said, before in my gym and in my area, I didn't exactly have the rhythmic gymnastics body. You can see that I'm not like super tall and super skinny. And any sport is really, really hard and dedicated. And it's very important, for any athlete or any gymnast. They train a lot. They train every day to go to that competition, to go to those Olympics. It's like a life worth dedication. And the difference is it's only one in a lifetime opportunity, the Olympic Games, because then it comes 4 years later and you might miss it, or you didn't make it, or God forbid you had an injury, or now you have COVID, things. Performance-wise, you get to do it every day, every night. My God, I'm speaking and I just got goosebumps going. You get to do what you love and adjust it and change it. And like I said, I started in Russia and then I came to Alegria and then I left because I always wanted to grow and evolve. Yes, I've been doing the same act for 27 years, but it's never the same because I change, my emotions change, the stage changes, and it's the feedback of the audience. When I come out on stage, I give and I receive, where competition, you are just a robot, a powerful person that is just going for that medal, and it's one time. You can't mess up. You can't look to the side. You can't, it's all about you. So you're basically doing this one thing. So performance-wise, it's so much more. And hopefully many years, many shows, many performances. So that alone, the feeling on stage is uncomparable, because the athletes, once their life story is over. They're done pretty much, and then they move up, they become a coach or, something else. Here, I mean, I've been lucky, 27 years of this amazing journey and a full circle, and to share the passion with, the family and my daughter and all the fans and the friends. And it's just, it's different. It's very different.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, Elena, because I come from the sport world, and everyone always asks me, would you have wanted to stay and try it again? And I tell them, no, I'm good. I made it through. I always tell people it's so hard. It's so hard to compete and to stay at that level, to stay at the big level. And I love what you talked about, how you don't get second chances in competition. And that's a thing that you have to get used to when you become a performer, where you realize, wow, okay, like tomorrow is another day. Like in 2 hours, there's another show, and I get another opportunity to do my best again. But in competition, it is very hard to compete at such a high level. And, I loved competing and I was so passionate about it. But once I was done, I was good. And I couldn't have imagined going back and trying to train to compete again at a high level.
Yeah. I feel, there's, like you said, there's, as an athlete, there's no room for mistakes. There's no time for it. It's so limited. Like, I feel so heartbroken this year for everybody who are supposed to go to the Olympic Games, because it's that window, it's that time where as a performer, you have a chance, even if, God forbid, you have injuries or you have a baby, there's the comeback and the recovery, and you get a second chance. You have room for mistakes. You have room for improvement, and you have that time. So it is very different. And some people don't understand it, what it is, because we have, circus world is either circus school, or it's family, where it's generation after generation. You're just born into it and it's in your blood, or it comes from the competitive, gymnastics and sports world. And when the sports people come into circus, not everybody, some people can't understand the difference. And for them, it becomes hard because they're so used to train, and then do that one powerful competition. Where here, you have to, I always say 100% every night, because, the audience member is different, and they all came here and paid the ticket to especially see you. And some don't survive. It's different. And for some, it's the opposite. So it's very different. Yeah. You can't compare.
And I'm wondering, because you mentioned a bit earlier that you ended your time with Alegria. At some point, you did leave Alegria around after many years. Yes. I think upon graduating high school, once you were done with high school, you left Alegria, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And then you went on and performed in other shows. Did you feel the need to break out of this mold of the girl in yellow and grow as an artist and as a young woman? Why did you leave the show after a while?
It's exactly that. I stayed on Alegria for 7 years straight, and I was at that point finishing my secondaire en français québécois. So I graduated in Biloxi, Mississippi when I was 19. And when I turned 18, like about 6 months before, like a year previously, my mom, because I turned 18, they said, "Oh, you don't need a coach anymore. You're no longer a minor." And I was like, "What?" Like, but I'm a solo act. And they were like, "No, only, group acts get to have a coach." But at that point, so my mother went and joined my dad in Vegas, and I still stayed on Alegria. And when I graduated high school at 19 in Biloxi, Alegria was going to Australia. And it's exactly that because I spent that long of a time on the show, I was a teenager. I had to experience something else. I didn't want to be stuck on tour for 20 years with one show, the same people. I wasn't ready to go without my parents yet as well, because I was so used to having my mom there all the time with me as my coach and as my mentor. So I decided, to leave the show, but I wasn't done. I moved on to special events. I moved on to working with other companies. And I still represented Alegria for many, many years after, even that I left. But 7 months after I came back to Australia to shoot the DVD, and my only wish is that they changed my costume. It was exactly the same costume, but I became, a lady, a woman. My body changed, and I was ready exactly, just like that, come out of that cocoon and just kind of be a little bit more me. So they changed the costume for green. It was exactly the same costume, different makeup. It fit me. It showed exactly who I was at that age. But I did come back to shoot the DVD. I stayed with the show a little bit more, and I kept coming back to Alegria during the time it was still open, about 3 times, I think, to replace the backup that was already there. And then I kept doing events for them. I would, do the pre-promotion before they would go to a different city. I still kept coming back to Alegria, but on the side, I had the freedom of growing and, working for other companies, doing events, doing, commercials, movies, just, travel the world and just not be stuck in one spot. And that's me today as well. I don't like to be stuck in one spot. There's always room to grow. So, yes.
It's not like the balance, perfect of both worlds.
Exactly.
You can still be connected with Alegria and yet grow elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they kept the DVD came out, and they had my B-roll. They had me everywhere, So any city that Alegria went, I was on TV. I was on some kind of commercial promotion on the DVD. So, I mean, it's in me. It's me, So, but I've experienced a lot of other shows and circuses and different shows with Cirque Du Soleil as well, like Quidam and Zaia and Wintuk and Saltimbanco. So, and then Zumanity. So, I got to grow, and I got to taste and show myself in different ways. So that's fantastic.
And when it comes to performance, I want to draw a parallel maybe between Elena on stage and Elena on the street. Which personality traits, which energy that you've cultivated on stage still lives in you now and guides you? Like, if someone interacts with Elena on stage and interacts with her in a coffee shop or on the street, what resemblance can we maybe see, or how do you feel similar as who you are on stage and who you are as a person? Where is the resemblance maybe between both of you?
Well, I was telling people, I grew, I became wiser, and, I'm a mother, I'm a woman. I've had some life experiences that made me grow up. And I remember, because I met a lot of people last year when I got back to Alegria that came back, and they remember me as this little girl. But I never really talked to anybody before because I had my mother with me all the time, and I was just kind of very serious face all the time. I never approached anybody first. I never started conversation, but it was me, growing and becoming who I am today. And I was really, really, really concentrated on my school and my work and my, who I am. Today, I'm happy to say that, I smile more. I talk to people openly. But it's a life experience, and it's, the time passes by, and who I am today on stage and similar to who I am in life, I guess I am more open. I'm humble. I mean, I've always been like that, but it's just, kind of lived inside of me instead of really out. I still filter people a lot. I think more now. I can read a person really well. And I don't let anybody take me for granted, because once I open up, my heart is, I'm passionate about what I do. I do my work 150% at anything I take. I don't give up. I just, I follow my dreams. I'm very dedicated. The discipline is there. So those things, stage and life, are similar. So, whether I'm a performer on stage, and doesn't matter if it's a show number 10 of the week, it will be 150%. And it doesn't matter if today, I'm sitting in the office, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's the end of the day or the beginning, or I'm with you at a coffee shop, so the similarities of that is just the personality, I guess. Of course, when it comes to stage, there's a little bit more concentration that goes in it. Yeah, I'm super happy, and I can finally say that I am proud of myself. It took me years to say that to myself, to who I am today, and it took years. I'm still working on it and learning, of course, but yeah. So
yeah, well, if I may say, I had the chance last year to attend Alegria,
yes.
and
Yes.
actually once I got to watch your backstage, and you were there, obviously. And
Yes.
what I thought was quite interesting, between chatting with you backstage on the carpet, and then the second you went on stage and you start performing, I saw you on the screen. There was still, I was like this, obviously I didn't know you as a teenager, as a kid when the DVD came out. But now I was next to you and I could see a strong woman. I don't know the teenager on the DVD, but it was clear to me. I was talking with this woman backstage and I saw her on stage. And I thought, like, well, if some people still think it's a teenager or young girl with this act, clearly they're out of it, because there was this strength of yours that was present in the room. I could see it on stage, and I thought, I don't want to see a young girl with this act. Like, this is a strong woman. And it was nice to see this strength, this maturity of yours was as present on stage as it was backstage, just hanging on the couch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing when I talk about evolving and changing and growing every day. When you're stuck in the same, office for 20 years or on the same show in the same costume for 20 years, there's no room to grow. It doesn't allow you to become that person. So the experiences of life and, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, you have to experience everything to become who you are today. And that's exactly when Alegria came back. I'm happy that they didn't give me the same music and costume. And I told them, I said, yes, I agree that I need to be different. I need to show people who I am today. You still have my signature. You still have my frozen look. You still have that, the eyes and the body and the movements. It's still there, but it's different. It's exactly, I'm a woman, I'm a mother. It's 25 years later. And it's the same today with people when they see me, and they knew me when I was maybe, a teenager or in my 20s. And when they see me today, they go, wow, Elena, it's still you, but you're just, different in a good way, I think, because, just the talking and the smiling and just the approach and everything. I think I've grown in that part, which makes me happy as well. So.
Well, I think that your return to Alegria was pretty amazing, Elena, because I don't think many performers can dream to do that actually in the same role after 25 years. And it was really fantastic to see you doing that. And a couple of the originals came back. I actually have worked with Oni before, an original cast member, and I know Emily Terrien from very far back. And it was really amazing seeing her come back as the acrobatic coordinator, because she was a performer in the original Alegria. And I was wondering, how was that for you, coming and accessing the cast in a different way, and then putting yourself out there again, in such a different way, so much time later. But the relationships and dynamics obviously have changed too within the show. And so, because it hasn't been done that many times by that many artists, what was your perspective on that?
Yeah, the comeback. Well, like I said, I never stopped. So for the whole 25 years, I was performing. The last 6 years before that, I was in Zumanity in Las Vegas. So I never stopped performing. I never really took a break. I'm only with my daughter when I was pregnant with her. And, but that's about it. Like, the performance went on. But to come back to Alegria, it was emotional. It was intense. Also being like at that point 37 for me and One, we were like, oh my God, can we really do this? It's a full-on creation. They don't give you slack. You're treated the same as everybody. And we couldn't, we were the face of the show. We, like me and him, because there was a few people that were back. They did Alegria like at the end of the arena run, but we were the face of the show, because we were, the two original acts, and it's been so long and we're still performing. So everybody was like looking at us, and in the way of, can they do it? Can they survive it? How are they going to look? And what is it going to be? And we couldn't disappoint ourselves, and we couldn't disappoint other people either, because we had so many fans behind us and so many people and Emily and people that believed in us and that took us back to the show because they wanted to have, that power. And, but it was different because, like I've mentioned before, I think with Martin last year in the interview, where when I was, on Alegria back then, I was a teenager. I was living the life that I didn't understand. Like I did, but I didn't, I was going to school. I had 10 shows a week. I would travel between, the cities to do events and promotional events and press conferences. And, so much was going on. That's why also I left, because I was like overwhelmed, oversaturated. And, I just wanted to live a life and still do what I want, but I didn't realize. And at that point I wanted to get out of Alegria, like you said, because I wanted to just grow and do something else. Coming back to it made me realize that this is my heart, my home, my soul, my show. This is what, like besides, of course, when I started when I'm 11, now people can see where I started from, where it all began, how it all began. You can see all the little videos and pictures on that YouTube, interview that we recently did. So you can see actually where it all began. And then Alegria, so coming back made me relive my whole life with, now the YouTube, the Instagram, the Facebook, the fans that flew from Brazil, Argentina, Tokyo. Oh my God, like every night somebody was in the audience watching me, taking pictures, sending me texts and emails. I was like, it was so much to take in, overwhelming in a good way, where I realized that, how many people I've touched and touched me because I did that. And it just made me realize not that I've missed that life, but that I lived that. And oh my God, because of that, this is what's happening today and now. So it was powerful. The creation was tough because, I'm not 12, 15, 19 anymore. And the cast and crew was fantastic, but everybody was looking close, so it was a test. It was a test. I think I passed really well and I'm super happy. I didn't miss one show during the run that we did, 371. I keep repeating because it was a lot of shows plus a bunch of promotions. And, I got to share the stage with, again, bring back the memory to so many people and so many fans and just relive the original because, the story is there. So,
yeah, with respect to you starting and doing all of that so young, Elena, I wanted to ask you too, because you're a mom now, what do you think about your daughter in terms of thinking, had she had that similar life to you? I know that she's in sport, she's in synchronized swimming, right? And I wanted to ask, what is your perspective on that? Of how did that affect you think, over the years of starting off so young? Sometimes I've seen artists that when they do start off so young, they can end up getting a bit burned out. They need to take a break to come back. But obviously, too, everybody handles things differently. Some artists, too, especially if they come and they've done something so iconic, you're able to have such an incredible, illustrious career, you don't feel like you missed out on anything, or you don't feel like you would have changed anything. But how do you feel within relationship of seeing your daughter now? Like, would you have wanted maybe that same thing for her? Or are you making different decisions for her? Like within, there's like a very big circus explosion now in the world too, where you have so much access, like you said, with Instagram and with circus all over the place. And the effects have changed so much in and around circus too over the years since you started Alegria. So what are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't change my life one bit. I would relive it all over again, As for the athletes and the performers, I got really lucky, with minor injuries, wear and tears. And yes, I have some body surgeries, wear and tears, many years. I got lucky. My career has lasted 27 years, not including plus 5 years of rhythmic gymnastics. So that's 32. My God, yeah. 2 years in total of physical body abuse, as I can say, because it is what we do. It's abnormal. You know yourself, you're an athlete, we abuse our body, and the discipline is strict and hard. It's tough. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody can live that long life of an athlete, and same thing for a performer, because again, some may have an injury that can never recover. Some may have no power or strength to do it, and they just give up. Some leave and come back, but then it's not the same. Some just, have a little bit, couple years, and then they've had enough, and they become, I don't know, a doctor, a teacher, or somebody. For me, I got lucky. My mother and my father, with the discipline they gave me, strict, but, I never had a diet, really. My mom was really good with that. And my mom could separate being a mom at home and being my coach. I mean, right now, I think it's the opposite. She's still my coach. She thinks that she still has to teach me and coach me when I'm, a mom myself already. So here's where I go, okay, go back to mom, no more coaching, But before she did it really well. So I got really lucky that she taught me that. And once she left, I did not lose it, because a lot of performers, and Cirque du Soleil used to have a lot of kids performers, and traditional circus as well, kids that grow up in the family world. They want, parents force them. They want them to do what they do and push them to do circus. And then they grow up and go, I don't want to do this. I don't want to juggle. I don't want to do contortion, hula hoop, and I'm going to go into school. I want to be in engineering. So the thing is that of course, you have to push your kid, because they don't know better until they become a certain age, But then there is a boundary. If you really see that they're not meant to do it, or they don't want to do it, let them do something else. And this is my approach to my daughter. Unfortunately, she's done right now with synchronous swimming because everything is closed, and we moved from Vegas. But, and last year when we were on tour, she did train with me a little bit. She could see that discipline. So she would ask me to come in and stretch and do the things that, just for her. But she's really good in school, and she wants to be an architect, and she's a wonderful creator, designer, and she draws, and she just, so why am I going to take that away from her and say you have to be in circus? And exactly, look at the world right now. The doctors are working, the teachers are working, everybody who's in the office are working. But unfortunately, the creative world and the sports people and the circus has taken the biggest hit right now this year. So there's always a balance, I think, right now of, doing something that you like and then doing something that you really love. For me, I loved and I will love, and it was my journey. It was my passion and my life for me to become who I am. And I am changing right now. I'm moving to something else. And for her, I also did not want to be a coach. I do private lessons and classes on the side when people ask me, privately, and they want. But I don't want to become a coach, because my mom was my coach, and all my life pushed and pushed and pushed. I tried to coach my daughter, but then I could see that the relationship there for us, unfortunately, would break. And at the same time, because I was still a performer, when my mom coached me, she didn't perform. I was her performance. I was her job, her career. I was doing, she was creating me and building me and sculpting me. So that was her job. That was her performance. As me, as a performer on stage, I could not dedicate that much time to my daughter because I was still on stage doing what I do. So it's a little bit of a different, structure, but she's happy and I'm happy. We have a great relationship. She's a beautiful 15-year-old teenager right now, in school with friends, and she has straight A's, and she has her, head on straight, what she wants to do and who she wants to become. And that's her path and her journey. But she shares it with me very well. She was super happy and excited to be on tour and to see exactly what I do. And she was watching the video the video that came out on YouTube, she's like, Mom, oh my God, how did you do that? The hours, this and that. Like for her, it's, she understands how hard it is and how much, but she puts that dedication somewhere else. And that's her way, so yeah.
I really can't believe that you have a 15-year-old daughter. Sorry, Martin, but it's incredible. I mean, just seeing you come back again too with Alegria, and just so beautiful and so poetic and so lovely, Elena. And the fact that you also do have you almost have an adult daughter is just, it blows my mind.
Yes. It's fantastic. I mean, I was 23 when I had her. I mean, some people think it's young, but I think, wow, I'm so lucky. My mom had me when she was 21, and it's kind of a European Russian way. Of course, now it's the times have changed. People first go to college, have a career, establish, then they have kids. At that point, it was like you have a kid and you just go with it. And I think now I'm lucky because, we just moved and we're starting a new life, and she passed that kind of weird teenager hormonal, phase. So,
no.
Yes.
Hormones.
Oh God. Me and her, yeah, sometimes it's not funny, but, and now, we're just best friends, and, we're funny, we're happy, we wear each other's clothes. I mean, more she wears mine. I don't really wear hers, but so a lot of people thought that, it was my daughter on stage when we came back, because they're like, that's not Elena. She can't be still performing. And it can be her. And people are like, really? That's her? I'm like, guys, come on. But then when you see the videos of me little, everybody thinks it's my daughter. I'm like, use the logic of the timing, So we look alike a lot when we were teenagers. So she keeps looking at the videos, go, Mom, that's me. I'm like, nope, that's me. Same face, same smile. But no, I'm really lucky and really happy. And it's, turning 39 in a month, but I feel so young and with a teenager daughter. So it's good. It's good.
Well, to me, it sounds really like you've really found a new balance, like you're really in a happy place. And it's nice to hear someone with this light in their voice in these troubled times. So maybe what I would like to ask you, as someone who's been on stage for 27 years and who had to stop,
Yes.
It's a huge part of who you are. So what would you say to all the artists now that are on the forced break as you are? Like, because you don't sound like you're having a bad day at all. You sound in a really happy, balanced place. So what would be your tip or, wisdom for all the artists that are missing the stage now at the moment?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel more sorry for the people that, for everybody. I mean, when we're passionate, and stage is something that when you're a performer, you crave it, you need it, you want it. It's like you can't live without it. The thing I would suggest is that we're going through this time that unfortunately uncontrollable. We can't really do anything about it. We don't know the timeline. We have no idea when and how it's going to happen again or reopen. And I would suggest that to take and use this time to your advantage, to listen to your body, listen to your mind and your heart. If your body needs a rest, take a rest, sleep, find a different way to meditate or train or perform. My body was tired. Alegria was coming back to Alegria. I told you last year in the interview that full circle, this will be my last production, my last show. I don't want to do anything else, nothing else. At this point, I'm not looking for any events or anything to do. I think I am done unless it comes back. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to think about it that, yes, I would love to finish my career on stage, but it may not happen. And I'm okay with it because I had a good run, a fantastic run. I'm doing this right now with you and the video came out. So it's kind of giving me a closure on everything to show everybody. But for people that are still waiting and training and performing, take this time to your advantage for your body to rest or for your body to get better if you're training something. Some performers had babies, they're taking care of their babies at home right now. And that's a fantastic time because when we're on stage, we feel the pressure, if it's an injury or you have a baby when you're a mother, or, some people got engaged and got married. So it's a fantastic time that life gave us presently to relook at our lives, to reevaluate where we are today. What are we doing? How are we doing it? How are we spending our money? How are we treating our loved ones? Take that time to, feed your baby, be with your baby or your family and friends, and to cherish that. Again, take care of your body, or train if you need to, or maybe go to school and see what your next step will be when you're done. You have the advantage of the time to follow your heart, maybe another career, something to prepare for when everything comes back and you want to come back on stage. You have that backup, that plan B that you will need eventually, because it's life. Things happen, and this happened right now, and a lot of people still freaking out or freaked out. They did not have a plan B in any way, so take that time to do that, for yourself, and to plan for future, and to see what you can do instead of waiting and freaking out. Breathe, relax, and just take advantage, take it in a positive way for the future. So, because unfortunately, it's not going to be the same. So, start a new chapter. Write a book.
Write a book. Well,
I am doing.
And I was going to say,
ask you, are you writing a book?
Yeah,
About
it's funny
your
you
life?
say, because you are writing a book now, Elena.
Yeah, Martin knows. Yes, I've started. I'm going, and I think I might have an ending now, like the full circle, because I could once the pandemic hit. I was gonna finish the book, once the Alegria or my career came to an end. But once the pandemic hit, it was kind of like the tunnel kind of ended in the middle, and I was like, oh well, I don't know. But now, where I am today, and the things that are happening right now, and so I'm like, oh, I think I can continue, and I think I'll have an ending. So yes, I'm writing a book. It's my biography. It's a story of my life that goes into details, almost like you saw in the video, but it's going to be on the book in words. So yeah, it will take a little bit of time, but I'm not a writer, but it's something that I'd like to share as well.
Oh,
yes.
That's so exciting. I cannot wait until your book comes out, and it's going to be amazing. And speaking of next chapters, Elena, where are you headed now off stage? If that was your kind of, final curtain call, so to speak, where are you headed?
So while I was for 6 years in Zumanity, and because that contract was not full time, it was for a little bit, and I was on call for quite a bit. Las Vegas was never, unfortunately, my first choice to live there. My parents moved there and bought a house, and then I had a house. My daughter was born there, so I kind of ended up there with them because, again, of my dad worked at Mister, and I had my life kind of established, but I was always traveling. And I always had the feeling every time I would leave Las Vegas, I felt happier, fuller, and then every time I would come back, it would give me anxiety and stress, unfortunately, although that city gave me a lot. So for the past 6 years when I lived there, and I got to go to college, so I graduated in food and beverage management as a manager of hospitality, restaurants, hotel business, because I lived in Las Vegas. Some people know, some don't, like restaurants and food and everything, drinks about it. Like, it's my passion. I love to cook, and I like, all that management part and how things run. And I like action. I don't like to be bored. I like when things are moving and happening. So I did that. And then I worked as a fitness instructor in one of the studios in Las Vegas. I also worked as an administrative person. I also taught classes and privates over there while still performing and being a mother. I worked for also as a manager for one big company and ran events and did different things. And then I applied for an internship in Zumanity, where I learned how to be an assistant company manager. Then a few years later, I got a full position because I I had to replace somebody. So before coming on to Alegria for about 6 months, 5-6 months, I did the full position of an assistant to company manager in Zumanity, which is, an administrative job, but at the same time, I performed downstairs as well. So I did like the double duty,
Since the recording of this interview with Elena Lev, Cirque du Soleil Zumanity announced that it would be closing after a run of 17 years. Zumanity was Cirque's first venture into adult themes and pushed boundaries in sexual explorations in modern circus theater, and has always been one of my favorite shows. I was most recently, during the reimagining of Zumanity, offered the coveted role in the Water Bowl act. And before that, during my run on Season 1 of America's Got Talent, I worked with Zumanity alumni Gene Lubis as a season finalist, with Gene providing artistic direction for my former circus duo act, Realis. And in a nod to another legendary hula hoop act, if you've never seen it, watch Zumanity's original hoops act performed by Yulia Kolosova. She combines hoops with aerial straps, and it is one of my personal favorite circus acts ever. We wish so much love and support to all of the current members and those who made Zumanity possible and brought it to the stage. This continues to be a historic year of endings for the circus community at large. And now, back to my conversation with legendary hula hoop artist, the Elena Lev.
So that taught me and gave me all that stuff, like a lot to do with the artist and the people and the staff and the crew. So I loved it, because I after I graduated, I said I will never go back to school again, because I was so overwhelmed, because I graduated in Français Québécois and then English, and then I had Russian, so it was too much. So I went back to college when I was 33, but I loved it. I loved using my brain, and more I knew, the more I wanted. So the pandemic hit. I went back to Alegria because I wanted to finish my performing career, because I realized that doing both was a lot on the mind and body, and I had to concentrate on one. So I went back to Alegria, but eventually I was gonna transition and move into some kind of administrative position or artistic, assistance, direction, something like that. So the pandemic kind of made the choice for me. And I told Martin, like last year when I came to Montreal, I knew when I went on, when I went on tour, I was going to pick a place where I wanted to live. That was my goal, to go back on tour and to see other places than Vegas at this moment, and this place that will take my heart. So once I went back to Montreal in 2 weeks, I told everybody, that's it, I'm moving here. They're like, you're crazy. It's cold, it's winter, it's Canada. I'm like, I love it. This is my place. This is my city. This is my life. I learned French for a reason. So,
and if you like Montreal the winter time, you really like Montreal.
That's what I think too.
And I was here last year in January, February, March. We opened in April. Snow was still there. So we just moved with my daughter 3 months ago on August 1st. I packed everything. I moved everything. I shipped everything. I still have my place in Las Vegas, but it's for sale now. So, and we drove from Vegas, me and her and my dog, for 5 days. We stopped at Niagara Falls in Buffalo, enjoyed the couple days. And then we moved, and we've been here for 3 months. We're super happy. We're super excited. She is going to school. She has friends. She didn't think she would. She's already speaking French. And I started applying for different jobs because, I don't want to just sit home and wait until things happen. Like I said, you need to take this time into your advantage. And I was going to finish anyway, eventually. So this is the time to proceed. This is the time to move forward. And yes, it's a hard time because people are, the jobs are kind of weird. But I'm starting a new job on Monday. So
Wow.
everything happens for a reason, and everything just falls into right places. Like I say, if you really have your passion and your vision and your goal and you're going for it, you just go for it. It's a matter of time, patience. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It might take you some years, like 39 almost to be exact. But I don't regret. I'm happy. I'm grateful for everything that I've experienced before, all the hiccups that I had on my path, with my life. And because of that, it made me who I am today to do what I like to do, I love to do. And I'm super excited for this new career and this new place that I'm going to be in. It also kind of falls all into, the right place where I come from. So it's perfect. And then when the circus world comes back, well, we'll see when it does, and we'll talk more about it. But at this point,
part 3
it's a new chapter. Yes.
I think. Yeah, part 3.
Yes. Life after circus. Yes, it exists.
I think you are like the most well-adjusted performer on and off the stage almost that I've ever met, Elena, especially with someone with your caliber of career and being so iconic. I think you are one of the most grounded, positive, prospectively voices that I have had the pleasure of meeting, because that is not an easy transition. And I think you've been someone that's been able to go back and forth, quite beautifully, actually. And it's refreshing to hear. I think it's important for artists and people, just, everyone within this community, to hear your story and your ability to transition and how excited and happy you are, and your perspective on where you've gone and where you're excited to go, because that can be and it usually is a very difficult and challenging thing for artists to find their way. And I love that you've been so resourceful and really carving out the way that you want to do things, because you're iconic, but then you also too wanted to go into production and you wanted to learn other things. And for you, I think that's really beautiful to just show that you're human, and that you have so many interests and you have so many capabilities, and you've learned so much in this business. So you have so much to offer in so many different capacities. And, Martin, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Well, I'm just wondering maybe, because you said at the very beginning of the interview that when you first joined Alegria, there was a bunch of kids. You were all very young. And then when you came back to Alegria, they were the kids. Like, there were a bunch of people that were born maybe with Alegria. So do you find yourself now with this new cast, I'm guessing you're still in touch with them, are you somehow maybe mentoring those younger acrobats artists that are now off the stage and be wondering how to go now? So are you finding yourself as a mentor for some of them maybe?
I think so. I didn't think in the beginning, but like I said, when me and One joined back the show, everybody was calling us the mother and the father of the show, because we went through this journey differently. I never stopped. He stopped for a little bit, came back, but still, the performer, the casting crew we had, this time we didn't have any kids, no kids allowed. Before we had Alegria had a lot of kids, and that's why we did school. This time it was, a variety of ages from, I don't know, like I think 20 years old up to also 50, I don't know. But still somehow everybody, and some people that knew that I worked in production, and because I speak the 3 languages fluently, I had a lot of people come up to me to ask, and request and for help and for, just questions, and to always ask me, Elena, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Or, so not just artistic wise, but, production wise or administrative things. And for me, I think in some way I was a little bit of a mentor, and hopefully maybe still am. That's why, I'm happy to share, to talk to you about this and the video that I did. And I still try to, I don't post too much on Instagram, but when I do, I try to give that positive vibe to people to make sure that they don't just sit around. They use the time wisely in their own, benefit. And it's important for everybody. So hopefully, I really, really hope that the way I have the followers with me through this career, I hope that they take something out of it for their future other than that. So I really hope that, yes, I could mentor some people. So that would be fantastic.
Well, I also wanted to ask you, Elena, too, what is the biggest thing that you've seen this circus world, how it's transformed over these years? And what do you think is the most important thing to be focusing on in and around the conversation of the circus industry right now and also moving forward? And then also too, just to connect to that, if you could share, because you've worked, Alegria, you've done so many legendary shows, performances, your most beautiful memories that you have from the stage in and around performing and in and around just your entire career of being on the stage. So it's kind of like a two-parter there.
Yeah. Well, you know how the circus world changed. When we came from Moscow Circus, the circus already then was almost 300 years old. The circus existed. It's from the traditions, Italian circus, the Mexican circus, the Russian circus, Switzerland, like all those things have been already there. When we came to Cirque du Soleil was only 10 years old, but it grew so fast. The quality, the performance, the costumes, the makeup, it became the best circus in the world. But there was still all the little ones, the Spiegelworld, the Palazzos, the Knie, the Zinzani, the, Flick Flack. There's all those little things and circuses around. So circus world is really, really big. There's still all these traditional circuses and little theaters and cabarets that are performing. So, but somehow people, I think, of course, everybody wants to be in the best in the world. It's like going to the Olympics or nothing, so same thing. Basically, and people kind of forgot once they got in to the best circus of the world, they became a little bit spoiled. And this is why I think the time right now hopefully will bring people back to their ground, back to being humble, back to remembering and realizing what it's all about, the tradition, the passion, the hard work, you're sick or injured, you still try to go back on stage and do what you do. I mean, these days we can no longer do that, but that was me all the time. I would work with a fever and with a flu, and doesn't matter if I'm hurting somewhere or if my surgery just was 6 weeks ago and I'm going on stage. So it was that much. I couldn't allow myself to miss a show. I could not, not for myself, not for the audience, not for my conscience. This is how much I love what I do. And it's not just performing, it's anything that I do, any, job that I've done and I will do. This is where I go. So I hope that this time as well will give people to realize that, oh my God, when I missed that show, I should have not, or when I did this, I should have not, because people just became, a lot of people became just performers just because it became, a salary, or it became just, oh, it's a job. It's not a job. It's your world, it's your work, it's your passion. And my mom always told me that if you take something because it's money, you will never like it or love it, or it's not going to happen to the fullest, because all you think of it is money and a job. You have to go in, head and heart first, then everything else will come to you. So this is what I'm hoping, that right now, coming back with the little circuses and the little events, so many performers right now are craving and realizing how much they miss the stage and how much they cannot live without it, and they're training. And there's a line of people that's going to be standing in every show and every production just because they want to come back, not only for the money, but they're realizing that that's their passion and their world. And that's fantastic. It will bring back the originality of what it's all about. So that's your first part of the question. So, and the second one was the best memories of my performance. I've done quite a few events that sometimes I forget. The Oscars in 2002, wow. I mean, one, Australia, when I shot the DVD, it's like my favorite country in the world, I've performed the movie Alegria in the Fountain. I mean, beautiful, what else? I've done American Music Awards. I've met a lot of, TV stars and people that are like super humble. Oh my God. I've done a movie with Tom Cruise like one time. You can't really see me in there. It's just something. There's a lot of things that I've done. I used to take a lot of videos and pictures. That's why I have all these archives, because me and my mom, we used to just play around and put some costume and makeup on and do lots of pictures and videos. And, but I think the best part of being a performer and in circus world, and I guess in a position like this, I traveled the world for free. I got paid to do what I love, and I've seen the world. I've met wonderful people. I speak languages. I mean, who can have that? It's amazing. Like, I think that's the best, I mean, I still have some places that I want to go to and I haven't been to or go back to. So, but it's fantastic. Even coming back to Alegria last year, I took my car and I drove from city to city, and then the pandemic hit. I drove from one part of the US to another, and then to Canada. And so it's traveling and seeing the world, doing what you do and for your work and job, and, and it's fun. Probably the best I can say.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Martin, do you have something that you want to follow up with as we close the interview?
To clarify something Elena said, so for all her fans and people are listening, I believe Elena Lev's house is for sale in Vegas. If I got that right, there's a house on sale in Vegas.
and she's looking for a ghostwriter for her book.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
The house for sale, people.
Too. Yeah, yes, I need some help because
that's most important. We need to close on the house.
It's coming. It's okay. It's something, but everything else is rolling. It's happening. I mean, I have no regrets, no doubts. Like I said, I follow my intuition a lot. And it works and it makes me happy. And yes, there's up and downs. I mean, of course, but at the end, the results, they're all worth it. So.
Well, they seem totally worth it. And thank you for reminding us, Elena, to follow our intuition, because as artists, that's our most important thing. I think that that's kind of like the kismet or the muse that we follow to be able to make our art and to express ourselves in this medium. And so if you have, I think, gotten detached from your intuition, which I love what you were talking about in terms of this time reminding artists of why you're doing the circus. It's not just being there just to be there. It's not this superficial medium. There is a grounded expression there. And so I think a very important thing to take away from everything you're saying, Elena, Miss Elena Lev, is that we are all being able to reconnect to our intuitive voice, and that is your artistic voice, and that is the most important and the most beautiful thing that I think comes with being an artist, and how you fulfill that intuitive call.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Elena, for coming onto the podcast. I had an amazing time. Thank you so much, Martin, my amazing co-host from theaterartlife.com, for coming on and joining in with this fabulous discussion. Elena, you are such an icon. You are such a treasure for the circus community. You were a part of everything. The reason why we're all here is because of iconic performers like you that didn't stop, that started from like very beginning of their lives and decided to continue to pursue. And I'm very grateful for everything that you've brought to my life, to the circus communities, at large. And it's so beneficial that you're speaking and telling your story and helping us all to know and love you even more than we already do, even beyond the stage. And I wish you so much luck and beautiful things in your continued journey. And I'm very excited to see all of the other developments that you're going to have in and around the circus world too, and what you put forth into the circus world, because it needs you. And I think it needs all of the voices that started out from so long ago that have stayed within this medium, which is very difficult to do, but you've done it because you've got the gumption, you've got the character, and you've obviously got the status. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, I appreciate all your words, and I'm thanking you for having me here today. And I'm really happy to share this with the world and the circus community. And I really hope that people, they don't give up, they follow their dream, they don't look back. And yes, and it will all come around. So, but, it's important that we all stay together and that we inspire each other. And I'm really, really, really thankful and humbled, and I appreciate all of you that are there and that followed me and kept me here, and took years to realize that because of no social media before, but now it's amazing, and I'm living this every day, and I thank you all. I thank you all for being there as well.
If we could all come back on stage with just a quarter of your humility, we'd be all a much better community as well. Like, it's nice to hear an artist like yourself being so humble and talking about life and her career with such humility. It's not something we're known for in the art business. So it's nice to hear that, honestly.
Thank you, Martin. Appreciate it. Thank you.
To close out the interview with Elena Lev, we wish her the happiest birthday, which is coming up on December 1st. Thank you for joining me and fellow Circus Talk contributor, my special co-host, Martin Frenette, as we interviewed legendary Cirque Du Soleil hula hoop icon, the Elena Lev. The Live Like an Acrobat podcast is also available on CircusTalk, the inclusive, independent, and international online network for the circus industry. CircusTalk's mission is to create a level playing field for this industry and democratize access to information. Please consider subscribing to the Live Like an Acrobat podcast and to the CircuspreneurBlog.com, where you will find extended conversations and interactive content of each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto, and until next time, please stay safe and stay healthy.